Hello and welcome. We're going to look at our virtual field study. So in this first video, we are going to look at the basic characteristics of our property, and our chosen property's location is 448 Tilbury Crossing Road, Toms Creek. This location lies west of Port Macquarie on the banks of the Ellenborough River. So in this video, like I said, we'll look at the basic physical characteristics, so the landscape, the topography, and you need to be starting to think about how those characteristics may shape the risk factors of this area and the types of natural hazards that may face this area. So let's take a journey to 448 Tilbury Crossing Road. So as we can see, we're heading in a westerly direction and we find ourselves at 448 Tilbury Crossing Road. Now, if we look at this actual location, we can see that it lies on the Ellenborough River. So the Ellenborough River is this watercourse that eventually flows further down into the Hastings River here at Ellenborough. And we can see that in terms of the topography, it's quite a mountainous area. So if we move around here and have a look at the Comboyne Plateau, a very rich area in terms of its vegetation. It's got volcanic soils, but as the name suggests, a plateau, a high area of flat ground. This comes into play in terms of the types of hazards that are experienced or maybe at threat or threaten Tilbury Crossing Road. So let's have a look at the property itself. Now if we zoom in a little bit, I'm just going to put on some older imagery because it's higher detailed. We can see here the house itself. So the house is a small house and it lies not far from the Ellenborough River. So if you look in the bottom right hand corner, the house itself lies at an elevation of approximately 109 metres above sea level, whereas the Ellenborough River lies at an elevation of only 108, 109 metres as well. So let's just get that accurate. So the house itself, if we zoom in here, lies an elevation of 110, 111 metres above sea level. The river itself at 106. So you've only got a small difference in elevation from the river to the house. That could possibly play a role in the types of hazards. So it lies at the bottom of the valley, and obviously the Ellenborough River Valley. So the property itself is bordered by National Park. So here to the north we have what's called Birrell Bulga, and it's a national park, and it's quite a rugged national park. You can see here the green and those areas of dark green which represent rainforest. Now if we turn on the location services and we can have a look at the property itself. The property owned by our clients is made up of these three areas where my mouse is currently hovering. To access the property, you access it through here. Now, let's have a look at the property itself. So looking at these three segments, we have different topographic characteristics. So let me turn on the contours. So we can see these areas to the west and the northwest, those areas that are heavily forested. They're also quite steep, these contour lines. When they're close together, it represents a steep slope. And this slope is also going to come into play when looking at different hazards. We've also got some flat areas. These flat areas are used to run some of their livestock. But the property itself, its physical characteristics, it's ranging slopes from flat riverbanks to obviously very hilly, wooded and heavily forested terrain. Access to the property is somewhat limited because there is only one formal entry and exit across this creek here, which is called Angle Creek. And this creek runs into the Ellenborough River. So how might the physical characteristics, the form and shape of the property and the landscapes within this property shape the types of natural hazards that may threaten this property? I want you to have a think about that, and also consider what knowledge you've gained already by looking at those different sources and links about the factors that contribute to different types of hazards. And then think about what threats might there be for 448 Tilbury Crossing Road. In the next video, we're going to look at some of the human characteristics of this property. So how has property owners, both the current and past property owners, shaped this landscape, and why we need to take that into account when considering disaster management plan, our disaster management plan.